What is capitalism? Hello and welcome to Explain Like I'm 10, where we ask small questions with some big answers. This is a very small question, I would say, which has some very big, massive, complicated answers. We have been doing an ideology series, in case you don't know. The last episode was on what is socialism with a gentleman called A.K. Bhattacharya, a senior journalist. And today we are doing what is capitalism. And you know what? What we are going to do is we are going to essentially understand capitalism through one of the best people you could possibly imagine, who is Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. Now Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is dead. In case you don't know, he passed away last year. But we got you the next best thing, which is a person who wrote a book on Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, who is Aprajita Sharma. Hello, Aprajita.
Hi. Hi. Thank you so much for having me on this show.
Yeah. So Aprajita has written a book on titled "The Big Bull of Dalal Street: How Rakesh Jhunjhunwala Made His Fortune." She is one of the three authors. One is Neil Borate, and the other is Aditya Kondawar, and the third is Aprajita, who have written a semi-biography on his life, but also from the eyes of a business journalist, because she is a financial journalist. She has worked in many publications like the Mint, Fortune, work as in she has written for them, Mint, Fortune, Outlook, and also we just found out that the guest of the last episode was her boss. So what a coincidence. So now the student shall triumph the mentor, which I'm very
Exactly.
excited about. But yeah, Aprajita, tell us a little bit about yourself and the book.
Yeah, so about myself, I have been a financial journalist for now more about a decade. And I worked full time with different places, starting with Economic Times, and I've worked with Business Standard for some time, Z Business. Business Today magazine was the one where I worked for the most. And
Yeah.
then for last 1.5 year, I've been freelancing. And this has been very amazing experience freelancing in journalism. So I still write for mainstream media houses, and I also try doing my own thing. So I've created a YouTube channel. I'll put in some videos there, and a lot of things I keep doing. Sometimes I write for others, so those articles go
Right.
in other people their own name, but
Yeah.
I have given words to their thoughts.
Right.
So interesting things I keep doing. This is about me, and then about Rakesh Jhunjhunwala.
Yeah.
So Neil and I, we were working on a book on personal finance already, and then when this happened, so someone suggested that why not you write about him first and then get to personal finance, because obviously
Mm.
personal finance books don't get dated. And so when I joined my first job at Economic Times in 2014, I believe, and then that was the first time when I found out about Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. So in office, and I was working with stock market team. So
Right.
he appeared on 18 Hour channel, and interview with anchor was going on, and we were supposed to curate a story based on that interview. And I was working with web desk, so we had to post it out as soon as possible. And the moment, so my senior journalist had written that story, but I had followed him quite closely. And the moment we uploaded that story, it shot up. It was a most read story on on the
Yeah.
website. So around the same time, Modi government had also, I had joined in May
Mm.
2014. So around the same time, Narendra Modi also had same kind of exuberance.
Mm.
So more than what a Modi story would gain page views, this Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, he gained those page views for us.
Mm.
So it was amazing for me the kind of following he had. And then I started following him. I went on watching more such his interviews, and
Mm.
we were always, and going forward and next few months I started writing about him. So
Right.
since that year, I had been following it quite closely, and when this opportunity came to me, I had to go ahead with it. And
Right.
we tried reaching out to people who closer to Rakesh
Mm.
Jhunjhunwala, and we tried doing our best. But initially, we did not achieve success. It was very difficult to get people to talk about him, but somehow
Right.
we managed to do this. So yeah, this is
And the
how
book is in front of us.
it's in front of us. We started
Yeah.
writing in September, and March last week we had it printed in our hands, our author
Uh,
copies.
Amazing. I also want to introduce my colleague, the union leader of spectators for today, Abbas Momin. Hello,
Hello.
Abbas.
Right.
He also hosts a podcast on the same channel, same feed, all about now, called Page 10. It's our current affairs podcast. And Abbas is very happy to be here as always.
Absolutely, yes.
Abbas, what do you think about the topic?
So this is one of those terms, capitalism, that I throw around to sound intelligent. But if you ask me what it means, I won't be exactly able to explain to you what it is. I think the topic is interesting. I will today hopefully finally exactly be able to nail down what capitalism is, and then appear more intelligent in the
Right.
conversation we have.
You know, funnily enough, we did this episode with Punit Panya, was the union leader of Spectres. He was in socialism, right? With
Right.
AKB.
Yeah.
So he also gave the same answer that, हाँ मैं socialism करते तो रहता हूँ, but मुझे पता नहीं exactly क्या है. So he went back like with like much knowledge, and he's like, इस पे अब मैं stand up कर सकता हूँ. So Abbas, great. So we will have a socialist comedian, a capitalist comedian. We should actually start a tour after this, which is a comedy tour. And political ideology comedy tour. But yeah,
Yeah.
Abbas, so one thing which you said, which actually is very important, right? Which this term, capitalism, is thrown around a lot very randomly. You know, like, अरे ये तो कैपिटलिस्ट है, अरे ये तो सोशलिस्ट है, अरे
Hmm.
worshipper of late stage capitalism, you know, capitalist pig is
Yeah.
also one more very much used term, without really understanding what it means.
Mm.
Prajita, do you also think that people don't really understand what capitalism is?
Yeah, I think so, because if I talk about myself, so I mean, you do understand logical and textbook definitions of what capitalism
Hmm.
stands for, but exactly what it is, I don't think not many people understand that.
Hmm.
And everybody have their own sense of understanding in their
Hmm.
way how they feel
Hmm.
about it. So yeah, so I am a stock market journalist, so I have different notions looking at it, connecting it with stock market.
Right.
So
What do you think about capitalism? What do you, according to you, what is it?
capitalism, if you look at it literally, so whoever has the capital, they will have power, they will have control.
Hmm.
So capitalism,
If
in
you can
capitalist
also tell us
society,
what capital is with the same thing. Yeah.
capital is money, enough money that you have, surplus amount that you have, with which maybe you can add productivity to economy, you can
Okay.
earn more, the money
Hmm.
that you can invest. So that's how I look at capital. So because if you're earning just enough to survive your day to day needs, that is not capital, that is your survival money. But if you
Hmm.
have something beyond, then it's your capital, with which you
Hmm.
can gain more, earn more, earning return on your investment. So that is your capital. So if
Got it.
someone has that capital in a country, so that person will have control. That person will have
Hmm.
control over means of production. So capitalism, yes, you have control over means of production. Then not many people will have that surplus capital. Then most people will work for wages. So again,
Hmm.
so the second pillar of capitalism is, lot of people will be earning wages. They will not
Hmm.
have access to surplus capital, they will not have their own businesses, they will be working, they will be wage earners. So this
Hmm.
is the second point about capitalism. And third, capitalism will survive in free market economy. Now what is free
Hmm.
market economy? It's a complex word. So free market
Yeah.
economy, it's about demand and supply. So in free market economy, you will have demand, you will have supply and competition. So if one organization is giving you some product at certain amount of pricing, then another gives you at cheaper prices, then people might move to other organization. But obviously value for money and quality and
Hmm.
quantity and pricing, all things go together. So if I were to summarize capitalism, then it's control over means of production, then
Hmm.
most people working for wages, and then third, free market economy. So these are three
Got
key
it.
features of capitalism.
You
Are
know,
you
I was
aware?
trying. Yeah,
Yeah.
God.
Are you aware of a story of two cows? This story is quite used for all sort of ism. To
No,
explain, you
please.
can explain all sort of ism with this story of two cows. It's very
Okay,
interesting.
tell us, tell us, tell us.
So if there are two cows, and then I'll only explain capitalism, not other ism. So in
Right.
Right, right.
capitalism, you will sell one cow. You have two. You sell one. Then you buy a bull.
Hmm.
You have sold it, and now you have bought a bull. Now cow and bull, they'll mate, and you will have more cows and bulls.
Hmm.
Now you will have access to more milk. You can sell more milk. that is how you will add value to economy. That is how economy will grow. You are
Hmm.
selling something, and then eventually you will sell everything and you will retire on your income. So you had two cow, you sold one, and then you have more
Hmm.
production. Means you have control over means of production now. Here your
Hmm.
capital is cow. So that is the true story of cows, and similarly you can define other ism as well with this.
Hmm.
So it's a
Right.
simplistic way to understand about capitalism.
Mhm.
That's interesting. Uh, Explaining capitalism through cow. Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking, I was looking up who came up with this term capitalism in the first place, and I found out, very interestingly enough, uh, that in 1854, the condition of having capital was something that people were talking about because industrial revolution, etc., was happening, right? So in 1872, this term was actually originally used as a disparaging word by socialists, because
Okay.
it's yeah. So socialists are the people who invented the word capitalism, which means political and economic system which encourages capitalists, and capitalists are people who are hoarding wealth, like who are basically earning personal wealth and becoming richer while others
Hmm.
are getting poorer. And as you
Hmm.
mentioned correctly, the second point you said about others are earning wages while these people are
Hmm.
making their money work through
Yeah.
capital.
Hmm.
That is what socialists were talking about. That is why Karl Marx actually became Karl Marx, because
Uh-huh.
of capitalism. So in a way, socialism also exists because
Uh-huh.
they invented that, oh, look at this system which is capitalism, we don't like it, so we need to form something else. And
Right.
that is how it became that. It's actually
Hmm.
very fascinating because it also shows how political ideologies are like a function of circumstances, in a way,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
if something you see happening, you want to define it, and then like you want to oppose it, so you define something else,
Hmm.
which becomes an ideology which everybody is fighting over nowadays. Is like ye
Right.
to socialist hai, ye to capitalist pig hai, whatever. But
Right.
yeah, but uh, so out of what Aparajita said, Abbas,
Yeah.
what did you understand? What are any further questions you have?
Hmm. Further questions. I think what Aparajita. Sorry, I'm sorry, I mispronounced
Hmm.
the name, but what she explained was very close to what I had in mind. So, like we also mentioned in the beginning, that we talk about capitalism in relation to socialism, right? So, in our
Hmm.
head, on a surface level, I was like, socialism मतलब सबको सब कुछ equal मिलता है, and everybody is happy and everybody is
Uh-huh.
content. Or
Right.
capitalism matlab, in cartoons also they have this, that there are people working and then there is one tall, like, dominant figure,
Hmm.
who's labeled capitalist, who's getting all the money from the
Hmm.
labor done by the workers.
Uncle
So
Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge, yeah.
Uh,
So
Hmm.
very broadly, that was my idea of
Understanding it.
capitalism.
Hmm.
hmm.
So in theory, if someone were to ask me, okay, which of these two is better, I would say, yeah, of course, socialism is better because everybody is getting equal. There is
Hmm.
equality there. But then again, I have grown up learning that the reason why we have McDonald's and Netflix and
Hmm.
multiplexes is because of
Hmm.
capitalism. Is because
Hmm.
that is because why we have the brand sort of thing coming in India, and which is what we all are, or at least I am. My life is comfortable because of those.
Hmm.
So then there is that conflict there where if I was like, "Ke, bhai, tum khadi pehnoge ya branded cheese pehnoge?" So I was like, "Haan, give me the branded thing because that will get me more attention." So if I could frame that in a question,
Hmm.
and if I could bring it in an Indian context, and of course, because I also host a show about films on the IBM network called Has It Aged Well, I
Okay.
was thinking about this, that in Indian films, the Seth was always the villain, right? The Seth was always the one
Yeah.
who would go against the hero who was the underdog. It's only recently in films like in series like Scam 92 and Guru that the businessman
Capital.
has come out as the hero.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So when did that change happen? And are we as Indians more brained to be against capitalism?
No, but that change hasn't happened. So Squid Game and Parasite, those two movies, not
Right.
Hmm.
Indian movies, South Korean, but still,
Yeah.
uh, we still question capitalism. So that
Hmm.
is there. But personally, I feel that we should not hate capitalism. Socialism, it sounds good on paper, but
Right.
if we'll actually implement it, then
Hmm.
government is going to have control, and government is not efficient enough to do everything. So we
Hmm.
need to have capitalism, as you mentioned, Netflix and McDonald's, etc. So we cannot, for example, just talk about Mukesh Ambani, Reliance Group. So with Geo, the kind of innovation that he brought in, and access to free internet. So this internet economy got boosted, and a lot of people could create their jobs. Small businesses, they could come online. A lot of people built
Hmm.
job around it, and then Facebook, WhatsApp, all these things. These things have really created jobs and really uh, innovation. They have triggered that innovation in our, not just abroad but also in India. So we need to look at it that these capitalists, even though they are working for themselves, even though in capitalism, everybody, all capitalists, they work for their own benefit, but
Hmm.
eventually they are also benefiting society at large. So
Hmm.
they are social capitalists, I would say. So,
Hmm.
so that is there, and we really need to think about it. So
Hmm.
without Reliance Geo, such kind of innovation, such kind of disruption may not have happened. So what you guys think about it?
I think like you were close to saying trickle down effect, but you didn't.
Mhm.
Like
Exactly.
essentially,
But
uh,
mm,
go on.
yeah, I mean, yeah, this is exactly what it is. But not exactly trickle down. It's just that they are not really looking at it via trickle down mechanism. They
Hmm.
are simply
Hmm.
working for themselves. They don't
Hmm.
have this whole welfare in mind. But
So essentially,
it's a
what you're
corollary.
saying
It
is that
happens.
the welfare is almost collateral damage for them,
Exactly.
which is like they're just
Hmm.
uh, doing things to
It
earn more
happens.
capital for themselves. But the rest of the things,
Hmm.
हाँ मतलब innovation हो रहा है, welfare हो रहा है, वो तो होता ही रहता है
वो
because we
वो
are
हो
doing
गया.
what we are
Hmm.
doing. Now, it's very interesting because Abbas, what you said is important, right? So with AKB also, when
Hmm.
we were talking, he also mentioned this point. I asked him ki, socialism, do
Hmm.
you he said that he used to be a socialist, and then
Right.
liberalization
Hmm.
happened, and then
Right.
slowly
Yeah.
he became also like had this switch where he's like, actually capitalism does have its benefits, and he
Yeah.
also admits that he's reaping the benefits of capitalism also as it
Exactly.
stands today. I think there is a shift that happened in the economy, of course, like societally there was a shift
Mhm.
also, but
Mhm.
personally, let's maybe ask ourselves also, and let's figure it out. Then we'll get to Rakesh Junjunwala, because I want to know from you, Aprajita, what happened with him also. But Abbas,
Hmm.
Aprajita, was there a time when, because in college, no, we are all like default socialists because बहुत idealism भरा हुआ होता है कि
Yeah.
हम तो बाहर जाके अच्छा करेंगे, like welfare to all,
Hmm.
equality to all, because हमारे पास भी पैसा नहीं था. And then
हाँ.
we just do the same thing, and then eventually once you get into professional life, once you see
Hmm.
ओ मार्केट भी होता है, ओ पैसा कमा सकते हैं, ओ पैसा फिर से इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं, ओ उसमें
Mhm.
और पैसा
Hmm.
निकलता है उसमें से. So all these things happen, and then you sort of थोड़ा थोड़ा you keep shifting.
Switch.
Did this happen to you
Hmm.
guys, Abbas?
Yes. So, there is this term retail therapy, that if
No,
something is gone, you don't know this. So,
no.
essentially, if you're feeling
Hmm.
shitty, the urge to go buy something and that instantly gives you a boost, right? That's called retail therapy.
Hmm.
And I totally
Okay.
believe in retail therapy. When I'm having a bad day, a shitty day, whether it's for professional reasons or for personal reasons, whatever it is, if I walk into a mall and I walk into a shiny shop where I see a nice little shirt on display, and I'm like कि हाँ ये shirt try करके पहन के मुझे अच्छा लगेगा because I'm now wearing
Hmm.
something new, something shiny. That is only possible because of capitalism, right? I mean, if there was no boom in
Hmm.
capitalism, there would be no shiny malls and nice brands to shop from.
Yeah.
So I was born in '88, right? So when liberalization happened, I was 3. So I have pretty
Huh.
much grown with in the post-liberalization age. So for me, everything, smartphones, the fact that you can watch the most international. I remember a time when Hollywood films used to release in India by a 2-year delay. Now you get
Yes.
to see them on the same day, on the same, probably on the same streaming service as the rest of the world, and you can have
Hmm.
a conversation online with the rest of the world about it. So that boom happening is very much, I think, because of the post liberalization
Hmm.
opening of markets that happened.
Hmm.
So, like I said in the beginning, also, my life is way more comfortable and nice because of that. So,
Yeah.
to think of a if I to think of a pre-liberalization generation like my parents, सोचने में तो बड़ा अच्छा लगता है nostalgic कि हाँ, those were the days. But honestly speaking, if we were put in that situation, we'd be longing for these days that we're living in.
That's true.
Exactly.
Aprajita, same question to you.
For me, I don't think that transition has happened even now. So I was never into, I was not a pure socialist ever. So when
Okay.
I read about this Nehru model of economy and the mixed model of economy that India went for, and I really liked the way it moved forward, because we cannot watertight, we cannot compartmentalize us. That yes,
Hmm.
yes, we will only be socialist. Yes, yes, we will only be capitalist. We have to find a way out. We cannot
Hmm.
go to extreme. You have to be balanced. So that is what the way it is. So for example, in capitalism, if if you are going to privatize education sector, if you are going to privatize health, then obviously common people will not have access to good education, will not have access to
Hmm.
good healthcare services. So we need government to play a major role there. We need socialist form of structure there. But now if we talk about telecom, you have seen how BSNL and MTN will perform. So we
Yeah.
really need Airtel. We really needed idea.
Hmm.
So this is what it is in different sectors, in different model, different kind of ism will perform better. So that
Hmm.
balance is needed, and I still believe in it. And larger welfare of society, I should say that obviously if someone is earning more, then why should they give it out? It's their will. If they want to do philanthropic activities, they'll do it.
Hmm.
If this is how they think, Ajim Premji. But if
Hmm.
someone doesn't want it, then it's their money. We cannot
Hmm.
tax them more. I don't like this concept of taxing super rich.
Hmm.
It has to be fair. They have earned
Hmm.
their money. Crony capitalism is there. It's an entirely different debate. But I
No.
don't believe in
Hmm.
giving out handouts or teach a
You know,
man to fish. So,
this is a good time to bring in Rakesh Jhunjhunwala actually,
hmm,
because also okay. So the way what I know about Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is that he came in with some 5,000 rupees and then became like
hmm,
a billionaire. Like, towards the end of his life, some ridiculous $5 billion were
hmm,
his personal wealth was $5 billion. Now he essentially is known for making smart investments.
hmm,
Like he made his money by investing in the market, in keeping a long term view of what is about to happen, and like, an
hmm,
extremely smart man. There is
huh,
no taking that away from him. But essentially he made his money work for him, and
huh,
then as a result it compounded, and because of a capitalist system,
hmm,
he was who he was, and now, I mean,
hmm,
his wife is there as well, who is running his company.
hmm,
So when you wrote a book on Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, right, did you also deal with questions like, because what you
hmm,
said right now was very interesting, right?
hmm,
I like that you do not agree with taking away wealth from people, because
hmm,
they have used their own brains and they have
hmm,
worked their own ass off to essentially get the wealth. So
hmm,
what right does a government have to take it away from them? I feel like
hmm.
Rakesh Jhunjhunwala was also on the same boat, if I'm not wrong.
Exactly, exactly. Hmm.
So what? How do you
So
like basically
Rakesh
combine the
Jhunjhunwala,
two?
whatever, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala was a true votary of capitalism. He would always
Yeah.
talk positive about capitalism. So the way he described it. So what is stock market? The purpose of stock market. So he associated with capitalism. So
Hmm.
it's an efficient way of capital allocation. So from people who have the capital to people who don't have the capital. So this is what happens in stock market. If a company wants to maybe set up a plant, if company wants some money to run its business, then it goes out in public, and public then can give out money, and that way that company will also grow. They will add productivity to economy, and then you are also growing because you have bought equity in that company. Then you are also making money. So Rakesh Jhunjhunwala entirely this is what he did, and initially even he did not have any money. So
Hmm.
he would get money on debt. He went to couple of people and asked for loan that bank interest rate abhi 7 or 8% hai, I'll give you 13-14%. So you give me your capital. So that's how he grew, and
Hmm.
gradually, and he also started doing trading. So he did
Hmm.
not have ancestral money. So he would trade in the market. So
Hmm.
how did he make his initial capital? Through loan, and also through by invest using his brain, and doing trading, that this company, okay, will perform better, so this is one news related to this company, so tomorrow the either this company stock will go up or down. So that is how
Yeah.
you he all he analyzed trends, and that is how he earned his income through
Hmm.
capitalism. Through,
Hmm.
if stock market did not exist, then he could not have made such kind of money in life. So he was truly a capitalist, and that is how his life, in
Hmm.
everything he owed to capitalism.
It's interesting. And Abbas, I was thinking about this. Have you ever done any trading, by the way, Abbas?
No, I have not.
Hmm.
Uh, I did. I did sort of dip my toes into the crypto boom for
Yeah.
Oh,
little money, but that's as far as I have gone with dealing with the market.
so
Yeah.
you
I
earned profits or made losses in crypto?
I made a very marginal profit.
Okay.
Marginal profit, yeah.
Yes.
you,
Yeah.
you know I would still put that in the same boat, because it's also like value that you're exchanging and then
Right.
putting it out, and
Mhm.
then it's
Yeah.
growing. But the reason why I asked this question is because so I also
Mm.
tried getting into the
Okay.
stock market when I was desperate, in like very long ago, jab
Mm,
bahut kam paisa tha. So I joined this friend,
Mhm.
family friend or something, who was doing this trading business. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, main bhi karega. So I did all this technical
Oh.
whatever
Which year, if I
analysis.
may know, which year?
This was in 2008, 9 types sometime.
mm,
uh
Okay.
I was still in college, right? And I was doing CA, I was doing all that, but I was very bad at it. Like, I was just bad at finances in general, right? So I was like, "Arey, isse to paisa milta hai." To like,
हाँ,
so I was helping him,
Cut.
sucked at it. I lost a lot of money, not
Mm.
personal money, client ka money, which is worse.
Oh.
And then of course he was like, अच्छा तुम ठीक है, तुमसे ना हो पाएगा, तुम निकलो यहाँ से. So like after like 15 दिन of doing that, I was like,
हाँ,
okay, fine.
हाँ,
uh and then I tried to do it on my own also, where I borrowed money from, which Rakesh Junjunwala did. I borrowed
हाँ.
money from one of my relatives. I put in money, and the worst thing that happened to me was during that time was I was obsessed with the market, which is every time that chart was open, and I was constantly like panicking about mera paisa kaha gaya, because even though it was my
Mm.
relative I took the money from, it was a risk. Finally, I
Obviously.
made him a profit of some 20,000 rupees, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. But he took it all. He
right,
took it all, and then I was like, he's like, "अरे, तू मेरे लिए तो कमा रहा था तू. What have you done here?"
right.
Right?
You experience. You gained experience.
Yeah, experience. And he gave me some chiller like 1500 rupees or something for doing whatever I did. um my thing though is here that not everybody is good at this, right? like
Mm.
like Rakesh Junjunwala was incredibly good at this, clearly, right? And
Right.
he did what he did. But like Abbas, like it's I don't think we are equipped to sort of trade in the market, because a, it's scary,
Yeah,
Mm.
b, it's extremely risky, and
yeah, yeah,
three,
Mm.
it seems extremely chaotic for some reason. It doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. So, Aprajita, what would you say to
Mm.
people like us then, who love capitalism but cannot really get into this pure form of capitalism?
No, I will love to answer it, because
Yeah,
see, stock market, we associate it with trading, but stock
yeah,
market is not just about trading, that intraday trading, or investing today and selling tomorrow, or maybe after a month or so. So that is not what stock market is. You have to be here for long term, and long term
hmm,
not with long term gets boring. Whenever
hmm,
you mention long term, okay, अभी 3 4 साल तक के लिए
mm,
रखना है. But that is not. If you believe in capitalism, then you must know that companies don't grow in a day or a week.
hmm,
They have
hmm,
to have that gestation period to grow organically. So the simplest way to invest in stock market is through index funds. It's the simplest thing. I don't understand that why not many people, even government should make it a point that even poor people, they should
hmm,
also get into stock market. They should also participate in capitalism through index funds, and it's the easiest method. How? So for example, Nifty, are you aware of Nifty? 50
Yeah.
companies are there on Nifty index, 30 companies are there on Sensex. I'll take Nifty
Hmm.
example. So
Hmm.
50 companies are there on Nifty index, and these are most profitable, India's most profitable companies by market capitalization. So these 50 companies, if India has to grow, then these 50 companies have to grow. It's obvious.
Hmm.
So if India's
Hmm.
GDP has to grow, then these 50 companies will have to perform the best. So why not invest in these 50 companies? As simple as that. And you have that productivity index fund. So, and all fund houses, there are more than 40 fund houses, and mostly all fund houses will have that Nifty index fund. And it's the
Okay.
cheapest index fund, cheapest mutual fund possible. Its expense ratio is very little. It's just if you go direct, then expense ratio on such an index fund would be 0.1, 0.2, very little.
Hmm.
It's as
Hmm.
good as nothing. So why not invest in that fund? That is how you can participate in capitalism. That is how you can, if Mukesh Ambani will be working for you. So
Yeah.
that is what it is. So
That's a very nice way to put it.
exactly. So all these big CEOs, those are working for you, and you have simply put your money just on monthly basis, whatever you can set aside. Just keep doing that monthly SIPs. Why not? And that is how you will make money in capitalism, and you will start liking capitalism.
Yeah, Abbas, you were saying?
Yeah, I'm still a little confused. So how does one track index points and what are they exactly?
You don't even have to track it. So
Okay.
mutual fund companies will do it for you. All all you have to do is simply go and sign up on any other mutual fund company, ICICI Prudential, AMC, UTI mutual fund, SGFC mutual fund. Lot of mutual fund companies are there. Just simply go and sign up and start investing in Nifty index fund. So
Okay.
if you can if you can set aside 5,000 rupees every month, then this 5,000 will go into that fund, and
Right.
it's fund manager's job to allocate it across 50 companies.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
that fund manager will simply follow Nifty index. If
Hmm.
worst performing companies are evicted, then good performing companies will get added. So that reclassification,
Hmm.
so these indexes get rearranged on
Hmm.
biannually. So worst performing companies will go out, and simply your fund manager will do it for you. So it's the simplest way of investing in stock market. So if your job doesn't allow you to track
Hmm.
companies, shares, stock on daily basis, then you should not do it. This is trading is for people who can really track it full time. People who
Got it.
already have their primary jobs with them, they cannot do it. They
Hmm.
might they might go at it. So the way people got lucky post 2020 when COVID happened, so a lot of
Hmm.
people made money. But now it's not happening. More than I
Yeah.
believe 80% traders, they lost money
Hmm.
in trading. So why do that? Simply invest in Nifty index fund, and you are investing in those 50 profitable companies, and you will make money. If something happens to those companies, then government will stand behind them. They will
Yeah.
support them. So uh, and
That's a very fun thing to say, Aprajita, I must say, because that is so anti-capitalist of you. It's like, अरे अगर डूब गया तो गवर्नमेंट है ना हमारा सोशलिज्म करेंगे
करते
फिर
ही है वो करेंगे
the
अब
safety net all
बैलेंस
socialism for everyone.
हाँ
But
एग्जैक्टली
sorry, guys, I have to take a break here. We will come back. If you are listening to this, we have two other shows. One is hosted by Abbas called Page 10, which is our current affairs show. And it is when we take a few news items from the week. We do a lot of bakchodi around it, and we basically it's for people who don't follow the news. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
It's by people who don't follow the news for people who don't follow the news. So the how Abbas puts it is that it's not 9 p.m. screaming matches.
It's the
So
opposite of the 9 p.m. news. We don't yell at each other.
yeah, so please do listen to that show as well. Like I think the recent episode, I don't know what it is because this episode is going in the future. So anyway,
Yep.
and the other show is called How to Citizen. It is where we sit down with celebrities and we read the seventh grade civics book. And the fun thing is that एक randomly chapter हटा दिया. हम finale episode करने वाले थे और हटा दिया. So now it's like, wait, we had to shoot one more episode, but now we don't have to. Thank
Yeah.
you, government. What are we doing? So yeah, that's happening. So that is also a fun show you should listen to. I will be back after the break where we will talk to Aprajita more about Rakesh Jhunjhunwala's beliefs and also how he made his money, and also a few things on government regulation. I feel like that is something that we need to talk about because the big inequality debate needs to happen a little bit as well after this break.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcasts Network. On the Habit Coach podcast, Ashton answers a listener's question on how one can make time to exercise in their busy working day. On All Things Policy, Malati Renati, Sachin Kalbag, and Soumya Nandan talk about the role played by society, government, and markets in elderly care. And on Explain Like I'm 10, Meghnad is joined by author A.K. Bhattacharya and stand-up comedian Puneet Pania. They try to answer the question, what is socialism? Once again, don't forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcast.com. We have some exciting stuff for you. Follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you like our shows, spread the word, tell your friends, and don't forget to rate and review them wherever you're listening to them. You'll also find all our shows on youtube.com/IVM Podcasts. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week, Cash Free Payments and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thank you for making this possible.
Hello and welcome back to Explain Like I'm 10, where we are delving deep into the recesses of capitalism. What is
Make that
capitalism?
what you said. We are venturing deep into the pockets of capitalism.
Oh, that's even better. Thanks, Abbas. We are venturing deep into the pockets of capitalism, and one of the pockets that Aparajita has ventured into is Rakesh Jhunjhunwala's. No, actually, she got no money from him. I'm guessing, but like, it's a metaphorical. Aparajita, tell us a little bit more about. Tell me how Rakesh Jhunjhunwala made his money. Any basic philosophies that just struck you? Right, which maybe I'm not saying that everybody should apply it, but I'm just saying that I'm very curious to know what were the
Uh,
philosophies that he worked by.
so about him, I'll say that we often say, no, common sense is very uncommon.
Hmm.
So that is with him. So his common sense was quite strong. So he was quite good at analyzing what will happen in future. He was quite good at it. So very early in the beginning, he could see that yes, Titan will do good. So if and how did he find his investments? So sometimes he would approach company founders, and sometimes companies will also approach him. Those CEOs or founders will go
Hmm.
to him and pitch ideas. So when they do it, he was quite
Wait, he
good at
was he
making.
was so he was a trader, but he was also a VC, right? Like, so he
Yeah.
invested his capital into other companies. Is that what you're
So
saying?
what he did initially, he
Hmm.
did not have any capital. So
Yeah,
initially in 90s, he would trade a lot. So that is
right,
how he earned, that is how he collected his, accumulated his capital, his income to deploy. So he was a trader and investor, both
right.
invested in listed companies, unlisted companies, everywhere. He even produced films.
Yeah,
So he had capital and in different ways he would use it.
yeah.
But stock market listed company was the one where he would
Hmm.
use it the most. So how would he find his investment? So
Hmm.
that's how he would do it. So if
Hmm.
he was quite he was quick at decision making. So a lot of people, the people I spoke to about him, so they told us that they have often observed him taking decision in minutes. So
Hmm.
he's on a call with a founder. Founder is explaining about his company, and he will say no or yes. If he has to make investment, then again it will happen in 1 or 2 minutes. If he has to say no, that will also in 1 or 2 minutes. So he was quite amazing at it. And even
Hmm.
in August, during his last days, he I
Hmm.
so one of last interviews with CNBC anchor, and she asked about which pockets will perform well in near future. So
Hmm.
he said like that, PSU, PSU, PSU. That is what he said
Okay.
in that interview. It happened in August. And then
Hmm.
PSU banks, all PSU companies really performed quite well until December, January, and February. So
Hmm.
that's how he was. He was, and this is unique. Not people cannot learn it. As in,
Hmm.
okay, you have to find good investment. You have to analyze those developing trends, but
Hmm.
you not everybody is equipped to do it. It's
Hmm.
unique to him. So that is one very important point about him. And second, he was good at accepting his mistakes. So he would not marry stocks. He would, his own words, that I don't marry my stocks. If I see that no, this company is not going performing the way that I would do, then he would simply exist. He will sell that investment. He's not.
Hmm.
So he doesn't have any ego about it. That Mr.
So
Market
he's
is
not. He's basically investing with his capital, but not with his heart. Like, he's not
exactly.
putting his emotions into it.
Right.
exactly. He doesn't do it. So
You know,
yeah,
that brings me, sorry, that brings me to a very interesting point, and this is, I think, Abbas, one thing that is said about capitalists is that they're very ruthless, and that is
hmm,
a
Yeah,
very,
I was also
yeah.
about to bring this up. That it's very hard to empathize with a capitalist because
Hmm.
the idea we have is it's someone who's hoarding wealth, and with wealth comes power. So
Hmm.
hmm,
it's very hard to look at them in a way where it's like, okay, they are working for the interest of the people. And
Hmm.
hmm,
also, to add to that, we have this mentality, especially in India, that if someone is putting up a squeaky clean image, that means they're hiding something dark behind that.
ha.
Also, you know, just to add to what Abbas said, you know, the ruthlessness, it's actually quite interesting how every businessman that I speak to, every successful businessman who I encounter is like, oh,
Hmm,
don't get too emotional about business, losses to hote rehte, you need to deal with it, and you know, you
hmm,
should move forward. But at the same time, companies which they are fronting are getting all emotional about their products, right? And they want people to get emotional about it also, because emotion is what is selling their products in the first place, right? which is
hmm,
which is a little psychopathic in my understanding, because it's like oh, so sure, sure, socialism में तो choice होता नहीं है, you know, socialism में choices नहीं है. Capitalism is great because so many choices, but in a way capitalism is also creating needs of people when you have none.
Yeah.
And because they make you emotional
okay.
about things, like for
Hmm,
example Bonvita, the recent example,
Hmm, hmm.
hmm,
it's a health drink or every mother needs to give, because bachcha strong hoga, successful hoga, all the things, so playing on the best emotions that you can get through advertising, selling your
right.
product. But at the same time, the people who are running the business are quite ruthless about this. They're like, yeah, what is this is not emotional. So how do you deal with this? Sorry,
Yeah,
just
so
a rant, but
capitalists,
how do you deal?
so capitalists, they are working for themselves. In the very beginning, I told, so they work for
Yeah,
their own benefit. They don't work for larger goal of
yeah,
society.
Right.
yeah.
So society needs to be that smart enough to identify that, if all in Bonvita, those parents, if they really
Hmm.
want their children to be healthy, then they have to read that, no, all what ingredients. Why would you blindly trust a capitalist? So,
Wow, okay. Also a very capitalist trait, I must say, public को blame करो. हम तो पैसा कमाने आए बॉस. हमको क्यों blame कर रहे
नहीं 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 पब्लिक को नॉट ब्लेम बट दे हैव टू बी अकाउंटेबल फॉर देयर ओन एक्शंस एंड
हो? Yeah.
इवन रघुराम राजन उनकी बुक आई सेविंग कैपिटलिज्म फ्रॉम कैपिटलिस्ट हाँ
Hmm.
एंड द थर्ड पिलर में
Hmm.
उन्होंने थर्ड पिलर क्या है थर्ड पिलर कम्युनिटी है सो कम्युनिटी हैज टू बी अवेयर इनफ to keep a check on capitalist. That's how
Hmm.
you save capitalism. Keep a check on government. That's
Hmm.
how crony capitalism you can identify where government and capitalists are working together. So we need to communities have to be aware about it. That's what I'll say. You cannot and capitalist competition करके हाँ आप उनको कुछ भी कैसे कंट्रोल कर
Hmm.
सकते हो that there has to be competition monopoly नहीं होनी चाहिए so government
Hmm.
has a role to play there we can blame government if any sector
Hmm.
doesn't have enough competition but आप
Right.
capitalist को कैसे they
Hmm.
are serving their own purpose
Hmm.
so
I
that's
want to pose this question to Abbas now. Abbas,
Yeah.
you love Disney, no?
I love Disney. Yes.
And you like Marvel, you like Disney,
Yeah.
etc. They make great films, very emotional. You
Yeah.
get very emotional about Mandalorian and all
I
the
do.
things you
I
do,
do.
right? Do you also see beyond that and see that they're ruthless capitalists who are just trying to get your attention so that they can sell you their
Uh,
product?
Meghnad, I think about that at least once every day in my life. And I'm not even kidding here.
Okay.
Because, because that's true. Because so yeah, in Hollywood, Disney is pretty much the dominant force. Okay, they're buying out everything left, right, and center. There was a point of time where at one point Marvel used to be a different company.
Yeah.
Pixar also used to be something else, and now they bought out Fox Studios and
Hmm.
everything. So on one hand, I'm like, yeah, there is some ruthless CEO behind all of this who's just has a map of other companies, and for them it's just a conquest, like
Yeah.
पुराने
Yeah.
राजा महाराजाओं की तरह कि हाँ हमको ये भी कैप्चर करना है ये भी कैप्चर करना है all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, but also when I watch a Pixar film, I'm crying when they show the baby. So yes, I'm also and when I pay 500 rupees for the ticket, I am in a way adding to their conquests.
Yeah.
So and then there was also this whole thing where in America, I'm getting a little specific about the
Hmm.
example, but when the pandemic hit, there was a lockdown. um, I think Disneyland was one of the first places that opened up even when the lockdown restrictions were on, right?
Okay.
So the people who worked there, they had no choice.
Hmm.
The person who has to dress up as Mickey Mouse, or the person who's selling ice cream at the Disneyland park theme park, he or she has to show up at work, right? They're
The
putting their
people who earned wages, not capital. Those people. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
they have to show up at work with all the risks of the virus and everything. और उस टाइम पे वो भी फाइट चल रहा था फ्लोरिडा में, the anti maskers saying we will not wear masks and all of that. So at that point I was like, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Yes, you're selling the idea of a good time to children and families, but essentially
Hmm.
you're exposing them to a risk with their health only
Hmm.
Yeah.
because Disney can make money, right?
Hmm.
That's what it came down to. So yes, Meghna, that's something I I fight with every single day. Where I'm like, where does creativity end and capitalism begin?
Capitalism begin.
Yeah.
It's a very
Aprajita, do you want to
difficult question.
react to that?
It's a very difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
It has no black and white answer to it. It
Hmm.
has different colors. So
But
what do I
you're a
think?
financial journalist. You meet ruthless capitalists all the time, and you
Huh.
basically track them, cover them,
Huh.
obsess over them. Uh,
Hmm.
does that bother you? Okay, it's a very personal question. Okay, so I mean, just
Huh.
take, like, give your personal answer only. Okay, does this bother you or at any level?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes when you are interacting with these people, and it's apparent that no, what they are saying, that this, for example, insurance
Hmm.
is mis-selling in. This is a very sensitive topic because a lot of
Yeah.
people lose money buying insurance policies,
Hmm.
but all these insurance company executives, they always talk positive about this product, and I know that they are lying through their teeth. They
Hmm.
know that it's not investment like insurance products, they don't they are
Hmm.
not worth investing for common
Hmm.
people. LIC का तो more than 95% business ही investment like insurance है, term insurance का कुछ भी नहीं है. So
Hmm.
it obviously it bothers me, but it's what do I do? I from my end I can only educate people,
Yeah.
but being in industry I have to interact with these people, so I cannot take activist uh, take on it. I cannot go all
Yeah.
activist on it that no, I will not talk to these people at all. That's
Yeah.
not possible because we also have to. Everything has some bit of positivity, some positive angle to any product that is there. So that's there. So I also have to put out their point of view. So with
Right.
being journalist, I have to make a balance. I cannot take extreme opinion on anything.
Hmm.
So that's
Hmm.
how I keep myself sane. That I'm there to put out everybody's view.
Hmm.
I cannot have my own. I can have my personal opinion, but I have to put out everything. So
Right.
that's how I look at it.
Very funny things have been happening to me lately. I I've been very Mufat on Twitter for years now, like literally a
Huh.
decade plus, right? And I have seen my transformation because I sometimes go back to my old tweets. I was like, really, dude? Really? And those tweets are usually when I'm being activisty, as you describe it, right? Where I believe that I can actually bring about some change. But in hindsight, nothing happened, right? Like, for example, I was extremely
Okay.
against Aadhaar. Like, I was like, holy shit,
Hmm.
Aadhaar, like, ye karna hai, whatever, whatever. The weirdest thing happened. So I basically kept out of getting an Aadhaar for the longest time, right? And then my income increased. Then mujhe tax bharna pada. And I'm that kind of person who is also like, nahi boss, government ko tax to dena hi padega, but then uske liye Aadhaar lagega. So then what do? Right? And then, of course, like, I was going independent, and I was like a consultant, and I was doing other projects. It's such a troublesome thing. And then I had to, matlab, man maar ke I got an Aadhaar, right? And now I have come to a stage in life where I am telling people that I love capitalism. I want more money. I am willing to be very ruthless about it. Please tell me, मेरा इतना
Hmm.
बड़ा following है, मैं product बेचेगा, तुमको वही चाहिए ना? But the thing is, you can't even say that openly. It's very bizarre. Like
Uh-huh.
you have to maintain that veneer of emotion also, right? Which I described, where
Hmm.
it's like you have to sell it in the right way. Otherwise, you're not doing the job of a capitalist, apparently. And यहाँ पे I had a question which I want both of you to also
Hmm.
answer. Does
Hmm.
capitalism essentially, as I said, create needs where there are none, right? But I mean, I look at Instagram and I would say those are people who worship capitalism, right? Where
Hmm.
people are going to fancy places, fancy restaurants, they're showing it to you, so you also feel like you need to go there. And that is classic late stage capitalism. um, so my question here is that, did capitalism turn us into this society which is also perpetuating people to become capitalists? Is it a fair statement to make? And is this inevitable also? I mean, no judgment, just please
I'm gonna let you
go
take
on.
this, Aparajita.
Aprajita, if you want to take a stab at it.
Yeah, so it's not that it's happening now. So capitalism, I should say, in 90s में जब liberalization हुआ, तब से we have capitalism, and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
are going in that direction. It's just globalization has happened now. So with
Mm,
globalization, you see all these Instagram, Facebook, and all these multinational companies playing a role here, McDonald's, etc. It's a recent development. So what you are saying is essentially consumerism. So lot of ism.
yes,
So
yes,
वो
yes.
capitalism नहीं है, it's
Mm,
consumerism, so that you're
mm,
consuming more, you are seeing people visiting those restaurants, you're seeing people consuming all these new gadgets, so that's consumerism, and obviously it's a byproduct of capitalism,
Yeah.
yes.
and that artificial need, as you talked about, that is there, then obviously people will follow, and it's herd mentality, and it's applicable everywhere. It's
Hmm.
not just because of capitalism. So we cannot blame capitalism for this, that people are becoming more capitalist. I don't think so. It's plain simple herd mentality, that FOMO. It's not. We don't have to read much into it.
I will counter you on that, but I want to hear Abbas first. Go
Hmm.
on, Abbas.
I just want to say all of
Okay.
Aparajita's answers are almost like सवारी खुद अपने
What?
सामान की जिम्मेवार है, right? Like don't blame
Yeah,
small.
and I truly believe, exactly.
No,
I truly believe in it. You have to have your own mind.
yeah,
अपना
of
Yeah,
खुद का
course.
mind.
don't hate to play your in
Rakesh
game.
Jhunjhunwala, if you ask me, जैसे राकेश झुनझुनवाला, how would he do his investment, तो एक set pattern नहीं था. He has his
Hmm,
own mind. He would not follow anybody. Whatever
hmm,
would fit to his mind at any given point of time, he will do it or he will not. He was a moody person. So maybe
Right.
अगर
hmm.
वो this is what also people told me. If he's not in good mood and someone has pitched an idea, then he might say no. So,
Yeah,
so that's how it is. You have to have your own senses.
yeah.
आप क्यों किसी के influence में आके कुछ करोगे?
I actually
Uh,
want to hear your counter, Meghnad, before I say
uh,
Hmm.
anything.
yeah, no, I was thinking, you said that it's just herd mentality, but isn't stock
Hmm.
market also herd mentality? In a way, so hear me out.
True.
Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, genius guy, saw trends where nobody else saw it. But I feel like
Hmm.
these trends which he saw were also based on herd mentality, where he knows that the public
Hmm.
is going to go a certain way. Let's, like you gave the example of PSUs, right? He
Hmm.
knew
हाँ,
PSUs will do better because he knew the herd is probably
will
pointing
come.
towards that one particular thing. So if he puts
हाँ.
money first, then the herd will follow and then his money will grow. So essentially he had a mind of his own, but he also knew that other people don't and they also will follow the herd. So
So people who could understand हाँ कि यहाँ पे herd mentality. So for example, I keep telling people that when market has fallen, that is the time when you invest. Why? Because
yeah,
those are the points when a lot of people sell. So
yeah,
if everybody will become smarter, then everybody will they will we will not be able to make money if everybody is smart.
precisely, right? That's what I was saying. It's precisely that, right? So you become a capitalist by going against the herd mentality but also believing in herd mentality at the same time. It's bizarre. It's,
It's really it's true, very true. This is
Yeah.
stock market where one person is selling, one person is buying, and both know that they are smart at it. I mean, they are taking right decision. So
Right, exactly. And
that's
both can't
that
take
kind
the
of
same
important.
decision because then nobody benefits. Yeah, Abbas,
True.
go on. You were
True.
saying?
I no, I mean, I think both of you have covered this topic quite well. So I actually had another question for Aparajita. So let's say I want to be a capitalist, right? You guys have convinced me, and now I want to go ahead and
Hmm.
become someone who wants to make money. But
Mm,
India is not seen as a very business friendly country, right? Like the ease of business in India
Huh.
is not very, it's not very high on that scale, like so then is that changing? Or you also mentioned twice in the episode that we're still not there yet, where we have
Hmm.
completely given over to the capitalist mindset.
Hmm.
So what do you have to say about the ease of doing business in India? Because the moment I think of it,
mm,
Hmm.
the number of permissions and licenses and paperwork you have to do just to start a business, that only puts
Hmm.
me off. Like, I might as well
Hmm.
I
just
I want to I want to
yeah.
piggyback on his question,
Hmm.
and actually it also ask you the same question in a different way. Is regulation,
Hmm.
government regulation, the enemy of capitalism, and to
Hmm.
what level can you do it? So ease of doing business plus regulation, if you can.
Hmm. I mean, I believe regulations, in some way, things are changing. So, for example, Apple opening these retail
Oh,
stores
yeah, yeah.
in India. So, obviously, and he had been trying it since 2015 or 16, I believe, and now he could do it. So, these capitalists, they are also observing changing trends in India. So, ease of doing business, things are actually changing there. And
Mm,
government, they cannot go all easy on all these capitalist. Why? Because obviously we need to make that balance. So
mm,
regulations, अगर मैं stock market SEBI की बात करूँ, so our Indian regulations, SEBI regulations related to stock market are much advanced than America or any other advanced countries.
Mm.
So which is why this short selling, you must have known
mm,
about that example, which was that stock. Can't recall the name. So that stocks suddenly started falling, and on Reddit they had this whole group
GameStop.
to
GameStop.
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 Yeah.
GameStop. So such things cannot happen in India. Why? Because our SEBI regulations are quite strong.
Mm.
So in India we need that regulations, because obviously we cannot be like America in a day. We need that balance. So ease of doing business, things are changing, and which is why you are
Mm,
seeing that startup boom in India. So you cannot say that starting up or setting up a business is difficult, but because
mm.
people have been doing it, and which is why we are quite great at innovation. Lot of
I
startups
I
has come from.
actually I actually want to push back on that point a little bit. I followed the whole GameStop saga, right?
Hmm.
Super
Huh.
entertaining, I must say. If, in
Hmm.
case the listeners don't know about this, there is this subreddit called Wall Street
Hmm.
Bets, right?
Hmm.
They essentially did this coordinated attack, nahi, but coordinated buy of this falling
Hmm.
stock called GameStop after
Hmm.
they found out that some VCs have
Hedge
shorted
fund.
that stock.
Huh,
So
hedge
to
fund
take
managers.
yeah, hedge fund managers had shorted those stocks. So to take revenge on those hedge fund managers, they essentially used the market, right?
Hmm.
And I thought that was beautiful because it was like capitalism hi capitalism ko kaatega sort of situation
Even
where it's
Rakesh
like,
Jhunjhunwala did it, short selling
okay,
in 90s.
go
So
on,
I,
go on.
we
I want to hear this. Yes.
So Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, we call him the big bull of the last day, the name of the
Yeah.
book. But he initially in 90s he made his money through short selling. So
Right.
Manu Manik was this big investor trader during those
Hmm,
days, and Rakesh Jhunjhunwala used to follow him. Then Radhakishan Damani also. So they were part of Bear Camp, and
hmm,
Harshad Mehta and others, they were part of Bull Camp. So
Mm.
they short sold stocks, the ones where Harshad Mehta was invested. So Harshad Mehta
oh,
was trying to prop up stocks, and they knew that this is
hmm,
artificial gains. So not
hmm,
backed by fundamentals, not backed by anything
hmm,
substantial. So they knew that these companies will form sooner or will fall these shares sooner or later. So they short sold. But both were at rivals, so both were trying to. So Harshad Mehta will prop up stock, and they'll keep selling. So it has
shorting.
come to the point, it has come to the point where they could have gone bankrupt. So Rakesh Jhunjhunwala on record told, he went on record saying this, that had it continued for 2 or 3 days, then we all would have gone out of market. So I've written
Oh.
about it in detail. So scam, आपने book या
Hmm.
series
Yeah,
देखी होगी.
sure.
Hmm.
So Sucheta Dalal broke that SBI fraud that was happening.
Yes.
So Harshad Mehta buying those receipts. So
Hmm.
though that story broke out, and then Harshad Mehta stock started falling, and it was a
Yeah.
saving grace for Bear Camp.
Oh
So
damn!
and
So
that's
Rakesh
when he made money.
Jhunjhunwala was like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala was
Wall
like
Street bets.
Hindenburg. Yeah, it's like
राकेश
Hindenburg.
झुंझुनवाला हिंडनबर्ग नहीं, मतलब आप उसको शॉर्ट सेलिंग, सो वॉल स्ट्रीट बेट्स ने जो
Yeah.
किया वो बेयर कैंप कर रहा था, हेज
Correct.
फंड
Right.
वाले हर्षद मेहता, एंड दैट्स हाउ राकेश झुंझुनवाला मेड मनी, लॉट ऑफ मनी. सो
Yeah. But because like so okay, so maybe Hindenburg is like a combination of Jhunjhunwala and Sucheta Dalal together, which is
हाँ.
basically they're also shorting it, but also
हाँ.
reporting on it and saying कि हाँ ये तो डूबने वाला है तो फिर मैं you
हाँ.
know that so my question comes from there just like last question that I had for you, right?
Hmm.
So this whole situation that you described of GameStop, right? America is considered a more advanced
I
capitalist
lost you
free
for a few
market.
seconds.
Oh, sorry. Again. So my final question comes from there. You just described GameStop, right? And one thing you said was that our sort of regulation is so advanced that GameStop like things don't
Hmm.
happen here. I would actually say the opposite because America, I think, is like uh, is a proper free market society.
Hmm.
It has a proper capitalist where you know if you make money, you make infinite amounts of money, and if you
They
lose money, you also
had
lose.
a capitalist president literally last term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm.
exactly, right. So but then like Aprajita, are you saying that that is not a good model but ours is because the regulation is the way it is?
Speaking from minority shareholders perspective, if
Okay.
such huge gains and falls start, this such volatile movements start happening in different stocks without any reason, then what would happen to minority shareholders? So we have to protect them.
Hmm.
So from that angle I meant that SEBI regulations are much more advanced, RBI regulations are much more advanced compared to any other country, so we need to give credit where it's due. But obviously
Right.
ease of doing business and other, we need to work on it more.
Right.
But we are not truly capitalist on that way. But still it's not that everything is bad in our business, the way
Yeah.
things move in our country.
No, but it's also weird when I think about something like an LIC putting in money into the stock market because it's
Hmm.
like a PSU government owned socialist company which was formed
Hmm.
on socialist principles to protect people with their insurance etc whatever is now
Hmm.
putting money into stock market to just do what exactly? It's a
but
little bizarre to me.
but no, they cannot invest all money. So insurance, the public money that they
Yeah.
have, the premium that people pay, they cannot invest it all in stock
Yeah.
market. They have certain
Yeah.
amount of money that they can. So
Hmm.
and they are now a listed company that is there. So people don't have to worry about it that their money will go. I mean, their money, they will lose their own money, their
Hmm.
insurance money. This will not happen. LIC, PSU, it's a very much PSU company, तो उनका कुछ certain amount of money can go into stock market, and which is fine because they have, all insurance companies do that, even private insurance companies do it.
Sure.
So it's nothing weird about it.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, final round of thoughts. Abbas.
I just wanted to know if you can explain in a nutshell what crony capitalism is, because I'm very confused between
Hmm.
what capitalism is and what is crony capitalism.
Crony
Ooh,
capitalism is
Aprajita, can I take a shot at that and then you can correct me? I also
हाँ
want to
हाँ
like
हाँ
see if I know what it is. Okay, so crony capitalism. So capitalism is when people are working on free market principles, right? So businesses are doing everything legally, lawfully, where they're participating in auctions. They're you know like letting other people also compete with them, and then they're winning based on their fundamentals of their companies.
Hmm.
Like essentially, मैं ज़्यादा अच्छा product बनाता है so
Hmm.
therefore
Hmm.
government should get the government should buy my product, right?
Hmm.
But in case of crony capitalism, essentially what I'm doing is I might or might not have a good product, but because I know the minister and I'm
God.
paying them a bribe, I
Okay.
will still be able to sell my shitty product to the
Hmm.
government
Got it.
So capitalism, but with cronyism involved. Aprajita, is that a
हाँ
good way to put it? Yeah.
हाँ हाँ, दिस इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट इट इज एंड आल्सो क्रिएटिंग मोनोपोली. तो अभी जो
Hmm.
टेलीकॉम सेक्टर में हम देख रहे हैं, एवरीथिंग, ऑल कॉम्पिटिटर्स आर गॉन. इट्स मोस्टली जियो, एयरटेल एंड आइडिया
Hmm.
बी, वोडाफोन आइडिया बी, इट्स ऑलमोस्ट गॉन. सो
Right.
ये जो मोनोपोली क्रिएट हो जाती है, देन अदानी ग्रुप, ऑल पोर्ट्स, पावर
Yeah.
एवरीवेयर. So this is crony capitalism where
Hmm.
you so government giving preference to one corporate over other, and things,
Hmm.
free market economy is not moving the way it should.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
You know,
Got it.
that's
one very interesting thing that happened yesterday. I just wanted to bring it because we're talking about airports and crony capitalism and
Mhm.
Adani. So, that you know P. Thagarajan, he's the finance minister of Tamil Nadu, and I
Yeah.
feel like he's the best politician around today. If you look at his interviews, fabulous guy, very direct, and he was an investment banker, right? And then he became like the finance minister of Tamil Nadu, and now he's like, I have to follow socialism because as a finance minister in India, you cannot go away from
हाँ,
welfare, right? And the way to actually increase value in a society in a very capitalist way is actually to do socialism first. That is his theory. That welfare
हाँ,
करो, लोगों का primary needs fulfill करो, make them capable enough to actually
हाँ,
participate in capitalist systems. That
Mhm.
is his argument, right? So he did something very interesting, right? So I think there needs to be a balance between regulation and capitalism and privatization in general. So he tweeted this. Um,
mm,
so there was a question asked to him about the expansion of the Coimbatore airport. Now in
Mhm.
okay,
Coimbatore also, with like other airports, this is happening where they are trying to sell it off to private players and give it off, lease it out, etc. So he said, in response to a question on the expansion of Coimbatore airport, I noted that our state would only lease the needed land to the Airport Authority of India or Union government and not transfer ownership to them as before. So, what he's saying is that the state is going to maintain ownership but lease it out to the government, right? The lease would include a clause that the lease amount would be kept at a minimum token value as long as the airport was operated by the Airport Authority of India itself, right?
okay,
If the union government decides to hand over the airport to private players, the lease payments to Tamil Nadu would go up to reflect the then prevailing market value of the land, or we should get an equity stake in the airport equivalent to the then prevailing value of the land, right? And finally, he says, and that Tamil Nadu has decided, Airport Authority of India's suggestion that they should have the right to sublease the land to private operators at a concessional rate without our consent will not work out. So I,
hmm.
I I really think that this is actually a good way to do it, isn't it? Aprajita,
हाँ,
do you
मतलब
have any?
मिक्स किया उन्होंने. हाँ, सोशल और कैपिटलिज्म दोनों चीज़ों को मिक्स किया कि
Yeah,
ऐसे सिर्फ वेलफेयर नहीं. I mean, if it's going to private hands, then free market economy, that ongoing market prices will have to come into picture. So
right,
exactly, and him being investment banker and also a politician, so
right.
he's
I'm actually very intrigued by. I mean, I'm going to stalk him a little bit and come back later. I do want to do an episode with him also at some point. But I feel like that balance is what is sort of lost in our society today in a
Mhm.
way,
hmm,
because we are so busy sort of cursing at each other. कि अरे तू तो capitalist है, तू तो communist है, तू तो socialist है, without really
hmm,
understanding what it means.
Mhm.
So that is the attempt that we are doing in this series where we
hmm.
can be both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Choosing one is not possible.
Choosing one is not possible. The बहुत conflict हो जाता है फिर life में.
हाँ,
इतना conflict नहीं चाहिए.
नहीं
But
वही.
I thank you guys for doing this episode with me. I hope you guys had
I
fun.
also have a question. I also
Go on,
have a
go on, go on,
question.
go on.
Yeah. I'll hypothetical question, and I would love to hear your answers to
Yeah.
it.
Sure.
So you both are authority figures individually. आपको individual answer करना है. Now there are three people. Person A has created a flute. He has created a flute, and person B, he is able to play it, and person C, he is poor. He doesn't have anything. These three people have come to you. Now this flute will go to which person. It's you have to decide. The one who has created it, the one who can play it, or the one who has nothing. So this flute could be a resource for him.
Very fascinating. Uh, I would. So person A has is owner. So he is
Ha,
basically. I would
banaya.
ask him. Wait, I have a solution here. I would say that person A should lease the lease the flute to person B, and person B should be given a mandate that 50% of the time that you spend on this flute should be to teach the other person to play the flute. So the C becomes a student.
But the
Okay,
flute
teach
is
him
just
how
one,
to.
right? So
The flute is one.
will the students use the same flute as the teacher?
Yeah. So student
Yes.
learns a new skill then. So person
Okay.
C learns a new skill, right? And
Hmm.
Hmm.
also now 50% of the time is being spent on teaching the student, right?
Hmm.
Which is person C who is nothing, poor, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, right. Other 50% of the time he does concerts and earns
Hmm.
money, right? Now that
Ah,
money, a portion of it
okay,
goes to
lease it.
person A. Yeah. Now person A can buy another flute, right? So by the time he has another flute, person C becomes ready, and then person D, poor person number four, can just join the camp. I have solved
Amazing.
it. World peace.
Wait,
you
question, Meghnad.
you
Who's
cracked it. You really
who is
cracked.
taking stock of whether he is meeting the 50% demands or not? What if he's
Come
Fuck.
again.
क्या करूं?
what if he's spending more time teaching the student and not
Who
doing
will
So,
track
so
it?
doing
he's
concerts than teaching the student?
ah. ah. So essentially, you're saying that this
No.
person B can be a crook.
Can be a crook, हाँ वो concert कर रहा है most of the time and he just for an hour he's like हाँ just come
No,
learn
but we
something.
have to assume. We have to assume that
Sure.
whatever is being told is happening.
Ceteris paribus conditions. No, but Aprajita, was that a satisfactory answer?
Yeah, this was really quite amazing. So you only mentioned about Coimbatore example, and you cracked
Yeah.
it exactly the way.
Inspiration. But
It
Abbas, do
was
you
the
have
top of your
another?
mind.
Yeah, Abbas, do
No,
you have
I was
another
also
solution?
thinking of something like this only, that the person who doesn't
Hmm.
have anything,
Huh.
you would probably ask him to go catch a snake or something, and then this flute goes to the person who knows how to play the flute, and then they can make a duo
Show.
where this person plays a flute and then the other controls the snake, and then whatever the
Yeah.
money the people give, they did distribute it amongst themselves.
Mm.
Uh,
But here's the thing: the poor person has to make the effort of catching a snake,
Catching a snake. That's
which
true.
is a dangerous
exactly.
activity.
It is. There I'm
So,
taking a little bit of advantage of his situation.
oh wow, very nice, so ruthless.
True
The second
capital.
person has talent, right? So I can't put his
Uh,
life in danger. If he dies, then the flute can't be played. So of the two, the only person whose life I can kind of put in danger is the
see,
third one. Just fuck
you
him.
start.
Come what may, you have to catch a snake.
You
So
should start
let's
a
do this.
business. He has everything it
Yeah, it should
takes
start a
to
business.
do a
Yeah. No,
corporate.
let's do this, Abbas. I become finance minister. You become my minister of state. Okay.
Done.
So, because and then we can try both.
Yeah.
But
But
really amazing
Aprajita,
answers. Amazing
what would
answers.
be
Because
your
usually
answer
people will
here?
say, yeah, I had, the person who had asked me this question, I went for B, that he has a
Mm,
skill. If you have
correct.
created it and you are not using it, it's not adding any value. So the
Mm,
one
Hmm.
who has ability to play it, it should go to that person. So that's what I had answered. A lot of people went for C as well. That
mm.
Right.
and that's how the discussion. We were having this discussion around dole outs, subsidy, etc. That should you simply give it out to poor
Hmm.
people because they lack resources? No, it
Right.
should not happen. So this is really great example, and your answers are really amazing. I'll share it with other people. Loved
Yeah,
it.
because no, the thing is, Aprajita, this is a very interesting question also because the poor person. So usually, what happens is, like let's say in this situation, the flute is just handed off to the third person, right?
Third
Which is
person.
like welfare,
Yeah.
like it's just whatever. But the third person doesn't know how to play the flute, right? So
They will
there is
sell it
there
and
is
have some money. That was the logic.
Yeah.
but that's the thing.
They,
So that is where I have a little bit of an issue because once you
hmm,
sell the flute, like अगले महीने क्या करेंगे, like
हाँ,
अगले week क्या
यहीं पे
करेंगे.
खत्म हो गया,
So
एग्जैक्टली.
their A's responsibility then becomes to just keep giving them the flute so that they sell it.
एग्जैक्टली, हाँ.
It's a very inefficient system then, where A has to also somehow afford to just keep bringing flutes and giving it to C, whereas
एंड
B
विच इज
को,
वाई
हाँ,
which is why a super rich ka jo paisa hai, it should not simply be given out, given to poor people. So
I mean,
that
my
that
thing
is
is
how
that
it.
it
Hmm.
welfare can also be in the form of skill building. That is
Exactly.
where I'm coming
Hmm.
from. I think service
Exactly.
delivery and skill
Hmm.
building can also be a part of welfare. Like electricity, yes, good welfare. Also, food, clothes, yeah, basic needs. Once
Right.
those are fulfilled, I feel
Hmm.
like the welfare should shift to education,
Hmm.
healthcare, which are
Hmm.
services which are essentially offering the citizens. So
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
is what I was coming to.
Yeah.
This is how it should be.
Yeah.
Subsidies don't. It's not an efficient system or simply
Uh,
distributing money.
Thank you so much, Prajita. That was a fun little thing which we will put out as a clip now because fun little thing. Thank you for content. And, thank you, Abbas. Thank you for doing this. And I hope you learned something.
I did.
And
I
I
did.
learned something. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
So are
really
you?
amazing. It's a very nice experience.
Thank you. And I hope you're not nervous anymore because I know you were a little bit in the beginning, but
No, not now.
we did good job. Abbas, we did good
Exactly.
job.
Thank you.
So now Abbas will do stand up on capitalism.
Yes. Yes.
Look out for Punit Pania's stand up on
Socialism.
Socialism.
socialism, and then we go on tour. I will
My
find a
my
libertarian
show
for you.
my shows will
Yeah.
have competitive pricing. Puneet has to keep the same rate for all his.
I love it. Like auctions versus
Yeah.
sales. We
Search
will
price.
we will yeah, search pricing. We would do future episodes also. We want to cover liberalism, libertarianism, communism. We are trying to find people for that. I just wanted to tell the listeners, if you have any suggestions for the best people to talk to about these subjects, please do write into us at allaboutnow@pratilipi.com, or you can write to me, Meghnad@pratilipi.com, or you can DM me on Twitter, which will show up here, and I will check the DM and get back to you. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.